Let us bring the City of Spartanburg City Council meeting to order. We're going to stand for a moment of silence, and then we're going to be led by the Pledge of Allegiance by the Dukes and Duchess, Baron and Baroness, Prince and Princesses, Jack and Jill here at Spartanburg in the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys are going to lead us, okay? All right, let's stand for a moment of silence. Amen. So you guys gonna tell us what to do? Do we have one specific that can come up? Good.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we go to item 3, I will have an opportunity to speak tomorrow about civic engagement. And just to the young people that are here today, I want you to know what you're doing here today, this evening, is truly civic engagement. Finding out what's going on in your city, listening to elected officials, and also willing to make a change wherever, it may happen for you at school or at church or in the playgrounds. But I want you guys to know that it's great to see you all coming and that you are making a difference here in Spartanburg. So thank you for being here tonight. So with that, we have item 3, the swearing in of City Council member Erica Brown. So Erica, she's gonna take her time going down. The Honorable Erica Brown, Councilwoman of District 6, oath of office administered by Ms. Natalie Ritz Brown, assisted by Abigail Ridings.
You stand right there. You stand there.
I, Erica Brown, do solemnly swear
I, Erica Brown, do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of the State of South Carolina
that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of the State of South Carolina
to exercise the duties of the office
to exercise the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
and preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and the United States of America.
and the United States of America.
And I do further solemnly swear
And I do further solemnly swear
that as a council member for the municipality of Spartanburg,
that as a council member for the municipality of Spartanburg,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust
reposed in me,
and I will use my best endeavors to preserve
and I will use my best endeavors to preserve
the peace, support, and defend
the peace, support, and defend
the interest of the citizens of this city,
the interest of the citizens of this city,
and carry into effect, according to the law, the purposes for which I have been elected.
Thanks. Wrote a few notes here. Thank you all for being here. Had to go and make sure that I had my own special day. And, had a little surgery, so I'm happy to be back here, be amongst my colleagues and everyone here today. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you to the voters of Spartanburg City and especially District 6 for placing your trust in me once again. I'm deeply grateful for your support, your confidence, and the opportunity to continue serving our community. Serving on Spartanburg City Council has truly been one of the greatest honors of my life. From the very beginning, you welcomed me into your neighborhoods, shared your hopes and concerns, and challenged me to lead with integrity, compassion, and purpose. Every conversation, every phone call, every vote has mattered, and I carry that with me in the decisions that I make. Together, we've made real progress. We've expanded housing opportunities, supported economic growth, invested in public safety, improved our infrastructure, and worked to create pathways to our youth and families to thrive. None of this happened alone. It has happened because of the collaboration with residents, neighborhood leaders, small businesses, nonprofits, city staff, and community partners who care deeply about Spartanburg. But tonight is not just about looking back. It's about looking forward. As Spartanburg continues to grow, I remain committed to ensuring that District 6 grows with it through inclusive development, equitable investment, strong neighborhoods, and opportunities that reach every corner of our community. There's still work to do, and I'm energized, ready, and determined to keep delivering results for you. Thank you for believing in this vision. Thank you for showing up, for voting, and being active partners in shaping the future of our city. I'm honored by your trust, humbled by your support, and excited for what we will accomplish together. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Erica.
Item 4, we have approval of the minutes of the January 12th, 2025 2026 City Council meeting. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Item 5, approval of the agenda for February the 9th, 2026 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment, we do have one. And the way it works is that when you come up, and Ms. Sutton, I'll just address you and anyone that gives public comments, just give us your name. You don't have to go through your address or numbers anymore. We have that here. We don't want to put that out. But you have 2 minutes to state what's on your name and what's on your mind and what you want us to hear. So come on up. Ms. Sutton. So you don't put that one away. You made me go through all this and I'm looking at. Thank you for being here. So I don't have any others unless I'm missing Linda Jones and Paul Bailey. Paul, okay. Those were from the previous meeting that was canceled, so we didn't know if they would show up tonight or not. So no public comment tonight. Item 7, we have 2025 crime stats and crime and policing statistics. Chief Alonzo Thompson, Spartanburg Police Department, Deputy Chief Jennifer Kendall, and I do see Major Art Littlejohn over there as well. Chief, it's on you.
Right, Honorable Mayor, distinguished council, it's my pleasure to come and present the Spartanburg Police Department 2025 crime report. Let's see here. Now, hopefully the gremlins won't get me today. All right, here we go. This first graphic that you will see will show for the past 29 years the benchmark crimes for our city. But the focus is on those in that square or rectangular block to your right, which is the past 10 years. Last year is the best overall numbers during that time period. And in fact, it's the best numbers we've experienced the past 29 years in our city. And I will say this from the very beginning, policing in partnership isn't just a memo on the side of our cars. This reduction is due to the work that we've done with individuals, neighborhood associations, different entities, business communities throughout our city. So I'd like to thank everyone. The last time I spoke here, I'd asked people to help us not just complete the puzzle, but turn over the puzzle pieces where we can see it. And we've definitely had people being involved, because we cannot successfully operate in a vacuum and do the job we do without our citizen engagement, involvement, and participation. So thank you very much. The next slide pertains to, again, the benchmark crimes. And again, you'll see 2016 to 2025, those numbers pretty much plateau, but there was a noticeable reduction in 2025 regarding crimes against persons, as you can see by the dip of that top or yellow or goldish line. But I do acknowledge that these past years have somewhat plateaued, have been steady, but we did see some noticeable improvement. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Normally, they let me do just one thing instead of two. Okay. Police report 10 years within the past 29 years worth of benchmarks crimes, which will include just shoplifting, theft from vehicle, and other property crimes. There was a significant reduction in shoplifting and theft from motor vehicles and other type of property crimes like malicious injury to property, as you can see by that, particularly about the other property, which has a more dramatic increase in this graph. The 10-year index crimes. First, let me just define what index crimes are. The FBI advised the index crimes are comprised of murder, non-negligent manslaughter, robbery, forcible rape, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, including shoplifting, and motor vehicle theft and arson. Our high was in 2018, the past 10 years, with 3,072 incidents reported. And you see our low in 2025 is 2,148. So this was a significant incline. And index crimes were 22% below the 10-year average. Approximately 83% of our index crimes were property crimes. 21% of index crimes were shoplifting, 15 were theft from vehicle, and 15 were burglary. 70% of theft from vehicle and 49% of burglary reports were coded for no signs of force. The area near Dorman Center off W.O. Ezel Boulevard and East Blackstock Road had the highest density. Ten years crimes against persons. In 2018, we had a high of 2,686, and our low was 2025 of 1,781. Property crimes were 25% below the 10-year average. Approximately 25% of property crimes were shoplifting, 19% were theft from motor vehicles, and 18% were burglaries. The area near the Dorman Center off W.O. Ezel Boulevard and East Blackstock had the highest density. Police report 10 years of violent crimes. Again, we had a high in 2017 of 423 and a low of 367 in 2025. Wasn't the lowest that we had, but it wasn't a reduction, even though a minor one of 2% below the 10-year average. Approximately 76% of violent crimes were aggravated assaults. Of these, 57 involved or alleged involvement of a firearm, and 21% involved domestic violence or child abuse and neglect. The areas near the intersection of Crescent Avenue and Pine Needle Drive, Wofford Street and Arch Street, Dr. O.C. Kirkland Terrace, and excuse me, Reverend Booker T. Sears Street had the highest density. Traffic accidents or collisions, 5 years. Spartanburg County, unfortunately, ranks first or second annually in the number of traffic collisions and fatalities resulting from them. As you can see, we had a 7% reduction below the 5-year average. Tremendous improvement, but more work has to be done for us to reach our target 0. We would like to lose no one needlessly to traffic collisions. Five years of psychological calls. We will continue to align our efforts with the Office of Mental Health, formerly the Mental Health Association. Hopefully our efforts and collective efforts and those of other community entities in the healthcare arena will hopefully result in more help to those in need and reduce call types of this manner. Contrary to public opinion, even my own at one time, or popular opinion, the overwhelming percentage of our homeless have ties to our city, county, or here in the upstate. They're not being bussed in or dropped off. These are local folks who, for whatever reason, have fallen on hard times, whether it's alcohol, mental health, or some other issue, some major tragedy in their lives that caused them to be in this headspace and out of place. But our calls for homeless has risen over 31% over the past 5-year average. Narcan. The biggest thing I want to point out here with Narcan is that we still have that tool. Some consider it mission creep, but we're in the life-saving business. And we have and will continue to use it as the situation calls for it, to hopefully to save lives. Oftentimes we'll be dispatched to wellness checks or subjects down type calls where we will respond, but we will also respond to accidental overdose, deaths, and other drug or narcotic type complaints. And also, as I mentioned before, we were driving while impaired or under the influence that create these crashes. We may also end up using Narcan at collisions as well. The use of Narcan has declined, but so has the deaths, which is extremely fortunate. We did not have any reported incidents or investigations by our agency the last 2 quarters of 2025. I would like to think that we're reducing our recreational drug use, but I think it's more of a matter of Narcan is one of the few drugs that someone other than the person to use it can have it prescribed. So if you have a family member or friend that you know has some type of substance abuse problem, that you can get it, and should unfortunate incident happen where they overdose, you can have it at your disposal to administer the drug and hopefully save your friend or loved one's life. Workflow. This particular slide has 2 parts. To your left, or we're at the 79,000, that is for 2025. And this section to your right of the slide where it says 80,559 is 2024. I want to draw your attention to the boxes encircled in yellow or encased in yellow. You'll notice that the number of citations went from 5,624 in 2024 to 7,247 citations in 2025. You also will see an increase in the number of field interviews and contacts. And warrants signed were also increased in 2025. So our folks are out engaging and taking appropriate action when needed, up to and including arrest. The most important aspect of this slide is contained in the rectangular black box there, which shows the most active reporting times. Basically 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the most prolific, but Friday is still the busiest day of the week for us. Stolen firearms in 2025 versus 2024. Again, to the left column there underneath directly underneath our shield is 2025. The other is 2024. As you can see, the numbers in 2024 was 129, and we had an increase slightly at 143 in 2025. You will notice that theft from motor vehicles and theft from vehicles stolen that will have firearms in them. Please keep your valuables out of sight if you leave them in your vehicles, and please lock your doors to your cars and your homes. A lot of our young people who are engaging in gunplay in our city, they're not buying these guns at gun stores. They are stealing them, and they're stealing them because of crimes of opportunities, unlocked vehicles or vehicles where they can see something of value inside. And to drive home that point about securing our vehicles, to prevent some of these guns falling into the wrong hands. In 2025, 89 firearms were stolen, with or from a vehicle. 56 or 63% showed no signs of forced entry. In 2024, it was 76 firearms taken, stolen with or from a vehicle, or 83% showed no signs of force. I'm sorry, need to flip that side for you. I was doing so well. All right. Please keep your valuables, especially your guns, out of view, and lock your cars and secure your vehicles. Responsible gun ownership will help us greatly in this area. Next slide here. Our victims. 6% of our victims were identified as Hispanic. 57.6% of our victims were female. And the age ranges you'll see to your right, section of the page, 46.6% are people 20 to basically 20 to 39 years of age if you add those two columns together. And if you add those up to 49, that's over 60% of those who are victims of our crimes. Juveniles taken into custody in 2025 and 2024. 68% were resident juveniles in 2025, 32 were not. In the year 2024, it was 60% that were residents and 40% not. So most of the juvenile offenses that we've experienced in 2025 showed an increase from 60% to 8%, totaling 68% for 2025. Adult arrest in 2025 and 2024. Non-resident, 52%, residents, 37%, and homeless, 11% in 2025, compared to 8% homeless in 2024, 56% non-residents, and 36% resident. And we identify homeless as determined by the subject's last stated home address, just for your information. The next slide I had put in because I think we need context when it comes to the crimes or arrests of our homeless persons to tell you what they are involved in. As you can see, number one for 2025 was trespassing. And that nearly doubled the number in 2024, where it was 47 incidents of trespassing, but we had 99 in 2025. Second is shoplifting in both categories. Simple assault was number 3 in 2025, and in 2024, excuse me, it was other incidents, like probably littering, begging, or sleeping in public, or incidents of that type. I mentioned earlier about policing in partnerships, small efforts with large impacts. I want to just share with you some things that I ask that you consider engaging in and assisting us going forward in 2026. Secure your vehicles, houses, and firearms. There were no signs of force in 70% of theft from vehicle reports, 49% of burglary reports, and for 63% of firearms stolen from or with the vehicle. It's like securing food at a campsite, as my crime analyst would say. If everyone does it, barrels are less likely to visit the campgrounds. And plan ahead. Smart 911 allows you to share information with that you want first responders to have and to know, such as medical conditions or emergency contact phone numbers in an emergency. When you sign up for Smart 911, first responders will be aware of important information you have provided that will help police, fire, and EMS locate and help you in an emergency. And have you ever wanted to see inside the SPD? Register for the Spartanburg Police Department Spring Citizens Academy. Applications are available online or at the police department. The next class will be held March 24th through May 26th. Also, I ask that you help identify leads for law enforcement that assist in exposing sex trafficking. Visit the website there listed above to learn about Project 1591, which uses tech-savvy volunteers online to look for victims of self-trafficking. And looking for data, this year we will be publishing incident report data online. There will be a summary for general review and a record list for independent analysis and visualization. Just want to reiterate that 2025 was the safest within the past, not just 10 years, but 29 years. And I'd just like to thank all the citizens again, our neighborhood associations, our business communities, nonprofits and other entities that help make this happen. Because again, we cannot do it alone. At this time, if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them.
Sure, and I'm sure there's a few questions up here, but I have one, or maybe two. Chief, we can see that violent crime is down over that 10-year span.
Yes, sir.
But youth, teenagers, violent crimes, do we have any idea the percentages? Is it higher, which I would assume it is, but I could be wrong.
I think anecdotally, we will feel that way. We have had a number of juveniles engaged in gunplay. There's no question about it. I can have data drawn to get, compiled to get you that exact data, as how many of those were. But a number of our incidents here recently, that age bracket of that 20 to 21, that's where we're losing a lot of our folks too.
Right.
But I can have that data.
Yeah, definitely would like to see it from younger than the 20.
18
Yeah.
guys.
Along those lines, Chief, while the overall crime index seems to be trending downward, I mean, it's the best year we've had in the last 10, 29 years, depending on what you want to look at. But our violent crimes has remained largely stagnant across the
Well,
board.
it was a 2%.
Right, so, yeah, very small decrease. And it seems to be sort of consistent with the last years or so. So really then as a percentage of our overall crimes, our violent crimes have increased as a percentage, if I'm thinking about it right.
No, sir. I think, again, we're below the 10-year average as indicated. As I said before, it peaks and valleys. It's been kind of stable or plateaued. Hopefully we're in the right direction and going to continue the downward trend, because if I'm not mistaken, and I have to look back at my previous ones, but we have had years where we uptick 1 or 2%. So I would take any positive direction that we get, but we'll take efforts to obviously reduce it. We're not satisfied by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
And I can tell you that the homicides, our folks are working, like I said, tirelessly we brought a number of folks to just where we've identified and made arrests on some of our recent homicides. We still some have outstanding. I can tell you the baby Zamir Smith one keeps me up at night sometimes. To be very honest, that was a horrific incident. Not that any of them was good, they were all senseless. But I'm encouraged because I do think we have people that do care, and there's lines that won't be crossed, and we do get more information. And I think resolution will come, but I do ask for your patience, because we only get one bite of the apple with this when you bring charges and go to court. If you don't have it right, then we can't bring justice to them. So again, I ask for the patience. I also ask for continued assistance from those that may have knowledge. I don't know how, it may seem insignificant, but it may be that missing piece that enable us to get that final little piece of probable cause, that where we can go into court and prove a charge beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I guess where I was headed with my question was focusing on, as we think about violent crimes in our city, and we look to, going forward, the prevention aspect of it, how are you and your leadership team thinking about ways to maybe approach the challenges of today and the future differently than we've looked at it over the last 10 years? Because clearly y'all have been doing a great job of moving this number down and creating an environment where our community is safe, but we still see a large number of violent crimes. And so as a council, we can't prevent that. What we can do is support you and your efforts to prevent that and address any deficiencies that we have from our approach. So is there anything we need to be doing differently to support you and your team's efforts to reduce violent crimes even more than the 2% that we've seen?
Well, let me say this as far as our efforts. As I said before, we're the tip of the spear. We're that investigative piece. And unfortunately, a good portion of our actions are reactionary. But we try to do things proactively on the front end as well. and some of the partnerships when it comes to mentoring or trying to get into spaces and places in the village. First off, let me say this. Let's use the our pronoun because it's going to take all of us. As I said, we're the tip of the spear, but we're not the entire thing. I tell you, the village, as we talked about growing up, some of that has changed. I would even say some of our village is broken from the standpoint that we have to somehow instill in our folks that we are to value life. And that starts at home. So having those conversations, engaging young people and as well as adults. When we go and speak to senior groups, I ask them to tell your story. Help remind folks of the pride in the neighborhood and how we used to be and how we can be again. So, but the relationships, the partnerships we develop, whether it's in our schools, whether it's in our neighborhood associations, obviously with our partnerships with our law enforcement agencies and the information sharing, because I'll be totally honest with you, it's 10%, roughly. A lot of the folks that are causing issues here inside the city are also causing issues in the county. And it's the same folks, but they're getting smarter. They're doing some things so it's harder to catch, but I have a bright bunch, and by us also acquiring certain technologies that are enabling us to be even better at our job in the absence of having eyewitnesses and what have you. Because again, we understand the fear of retaliation and reprisal. And to be able to vet information that we get where we can keep people anonymous is what we prefer to do, if and when possible. But I can tell you we're doing things on the preventive end, on the intervention end, as far as our investigative strategy and abilities. But we're also trying to, when we can, make those solid cases, identify that 10% and remove them from the equation. But unfortunately, we find ourselves, it's kind of like old Greek mythology. You have the Hydra, you cut off the head, the three will grow back. Because logic says, okay, you shot at my friend, now I got to come shoot up. And it's just a retaliatory deal. Somehow, some way, we have to engage with the family and the adults in the room involved to say, this has to end. This has to stop somewhere. Because we've already seen where innocence can be harmed by that. Like I said, I know it's a long answer, but I would love to have you come by and see what we can really lay out for you, more specifically some of the things that we're doing on our end. But I can tell you, for us to be successful, it's going to take everybody in our county, everybody in our city, kind of working together.
Councilwoman Littlejohn.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chief, I want to thank you for this report.
Yes, ma'am.
As I look over this report and I was listening to you, and I think back on my years in real estate, like 21 years, you never like to make your neighborhood sound like a bad neighborhood or your town sound like a bad place because you want to draw people in.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
don't want to scare people out. I am excited about this report. However, looking at this, because you're witnessing some things that are taking place in my district, I have to disagree with a lot of things that I'm seeing here. I wish that there was a way that we could focus on all areas of the city as we do some. I'm not saying that you don't, but I'm just saying the way that it appears, because we are having problems with youth and people from outside of the city. And I think that they have found a haven on the south side of town, and that's where they are. And I would like to see more patrols. I would like to see more police in these areas where you know that there is a problem. And this has been something that I have stressed for a long time, and I know that y'all are tired of me calling, because I know that there are parts of the city, and I know that there are people that are saying, oh, you don't want to make the city sound like a bad place. The city is not a bad place. I would not want to live any other place than where I am living here now. However, I do think that there needs to be more police patrol in certain parts of the city, more so than others, especially where you know that there are hot spots. There needs to be more patrol. I mean, I call you all the time, not as much as I should, but I do believe that more patrol is needed in certain areas of the city. And again, I wouldn't want to live any other place than the city of Spartanburg, and I love where I live. I love where I live because there are good people there. There are good people. However, the people that are coming in and posing the problems don't live in Spartanburg. They are young people who do not live in Spartanburg, and this has been proven over and over again that they are coming in from the outside because they have a haven here.
I would just say that we go and utilize our resources where they're needed. Now, as far as being able to create much more presence than we currently have and still deal with issues at hand, challenging, but it's something that we try to do. Now, I will pass my hat around here if we can get more personnel, but we got to retain the ones that we have. And right now in this day and time, when people can go and make $5,000 or $10,000 more per officer somewhere else and not be here, to have the number of officers that's needed, I'll just be totally honest with you, we're gonna have to step our game up as a city. I mean, there's just no other way around it. Now, we have force multipliers. Our technology is if it wasn't for what we have acquired, and I thank you for your support in that area with ARPA funding and monies we got from Representative Myers from the state, we'll be so far behind, but we're leading and we're winning. And I hate you feel that we're not taking care of your area, but we are. Yes, there's a lot of area concentrated there, but the work is being done there and it's taking time. But I tell you, if we do not do what's necessary to make it where our officers can come here and stay, and we can track those, we track good people, and we train them up, and they do a tremendous job. But when they can go and not even have to move from their current home and make considerably more, that's a challenge. But I can pledge to you, we go where the problems are and try to work on them. Some problems are easier to fix than others, and I hear you, and we will still do, I can assure you, we'll do all we can to try to enhance not just the presence, but try to deal with the very issues where our presence is required, was needed. But I tell you, we cannot do it alone. It starts at home. The village has to be in total.
I asked the deputy chief for permission to speak. She granted it. So we've been having some long-standing conversations around our youth. As the chief noted, it does take a village. And I will tell you, as it relates to engagement, our team is doing an amazing job. And it's not just the police department. An engagement that happened on MLK at TK Gregg with the Parks and Rec team, where PD was involved. We engaged over 300 youth. That they led that conversation. So some of the things that you ask about, like what are we doing differently as regards to our youth, I think some of the engagement efforts we are leading. The engagement that took place at CC led by law enforcement, over 100 young people, mostly young black males that were present, that was building those relationships. You know, we had a speaker for MLK and he talked about, you know, what's the opposite of hate? And he noted knowing. Those young people had a chance to get to know our law enforcement officers that day. You know that would have a huge impact on how they see the police moving forward and their willingness to connect and share what they know with law enforcement. Those are things we're doing. We're also forming an internal task force on youth to make sure that Parks and Rec, City Manager's Office, PD are talking and communicating strategically. So there's a lot of infrastructure that is taking shape around our youth. So I just wanted to add that context. Thank you, Deputy Chief.
And thank you, sir. And from an investigative and enforcement standpoint, I'll just be totally honest with you, I will never come and talk about sources and methods here because it's counterproductive for what we're doing. Again, I ask for your patience.
Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to reiterate your point at the beginning, another data piece that I would like to see is this one that has the victims of benchmark crimes. And the most startling piece in all of this report is that 10% of those victims are 17 and under. I mean, that is truly unacceptable for a community that many of victims of crimes are 17 and under. But I would like to know if that is different from previous years, if that is less, if that has grown. So you all have long known that irresponsible gun ownership is something that irks me to no end, and people leaving them in their cars is, also unacceptable. Do we know if any of these guns that have been stolen from vehicles have later shown up as guns used in crimes that we have later recovered?
Get you the number, but unfortunately and unfortunately, well, sometimes we find them and we can trace and see if there's a connection, but sometimes the guns are discarded and not found after they've been used, so that makes it somewhat challenging.
Right.
But we can see what we can find out from you as far as those that we have been able to confirm have been stolen and was used in a subsequent crime.
Okay. And I know in the past, we've done some messaging around that. We've done 2 gun buybacks in the past. And, I think some of my fellow council members will speak on the impact of our social media from the storm and how people listen to us when we use our platforms. And to me, this is very much a reason to use our platforms, to tell people, do not leave your gun in your car. You are just as much a piece of this puzzle, like you say. It takes all of us. The other question I wanted to ask, and I usually ask this one every year that we have this report, is when you talk about the hot spot areas, those of us that have a Walmart in our district, that's usually the area when we talk about the hot spot for shoplifting.
Yes.
And we've had a couple of very high-profile incidences at the West Side Walmart this past year that I've heard several folks in my district express serious concern over, rightfully so. And usually always we have a car there, but I'm wondering, can you just talk a little bit more about our relationship with the Walmart, as my grandmother says, the Walmart, with the big box stores, and specifically what we're doing with them to help them not just respond, but to either implement new policies or practices, because every year, and I understand it, every year the Walmarts show up as the hot spot. I read Betty Mendoca's name every single day in the reports. But I'm just curious if we're trying new things, if we're tracking specific data, new interventions, what we're seeing on the commercial real estate side.
Well, what I would say is I think the relationship and the efforts of our big box stores has improved tremendously with them acquiring certain technologies. Obviously, we have off-duty personnel that will work at some of the big box stores, which is also an enhancement. Reduced crime day and shoplifting is one of the things that we have made considerable impact on because of those enhancements. So even though that number is still high, and that's still where the majority of them is, because our major shopping centers in those areas on the east side and west side, but that we have seen declines in that arena because of the work that they've done and we've done in conjunction with them. But having also the technology we have in some of our vehicles, we've been able to identify some of those who are shoplifting, leaving the area, and we find them later on and can do some positive things to deter, if you would, some of that activity. But they're still going to be the draw, because, especially the one on West Side, because of where it's located, to be totally honest with you. And as noticed in the past, too, a lot of our shoplifters, they come even from the southwestern part of North Carolina. You come down 26 or 85 and boom, you're at the Walmart or the mall and you do your dirt. But again, I'm proud to say that there has been a reduction, and I can't thank those at Walmart enough for some of the efforts that they've made to try to take a little bit more responsibility. Now, they're never going to, and probably rightfully so, have their, like a lot of stores, have their employees go out and try to apprehend or stop the person shoplifting. We still will discourage that. But the cameras, we're able to identify those folks and be able to generally find them later if they've done any kind of assault or any type of theft at the big box stores.
But also that's a result of the fact that they're actually intentional about those crimes, right? They have a staff that's designed to
Yes.
address those crimes.
Yes.
So you see, because of the density of shoppers that go in and out of that store, or the one on the east side, or the one at Cedar Springs on a daily basis, I mean, you have volume, but they also have a more robust component to address that.
Internally.
So they're always gonna be, red on our heat map associated with that. It's just, the fact that they're working in tandem with our folks to see those numbers come down. They're always, as a percentage, they're always gonna be high, right?
Yes, sir. And the good thing about it, when it shows that it's showing the incidents, but what that incident doesn't show is the number of folks we have arrested who've been involved in those incidents. So again, we have gotten better at being able to identify those perpetrators of those shoplifting thefts than we have in years past because of some of the technology inside. And as you mentioned, they've taken a little bit more, responsibility of being able to identify even before people leaving the store who are involved in some of the activities.
And folks who understand, look at this data should realize that it's not a fertile environment for them because they're gonna get caught more than likely. So the deterrent is the fact that we're being more intentional collectively to address those.
That's correct.
Shoplifting crimes or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, just thank you for this report.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think we're starting to talk about these areas. Councilwoman Littlejohn talked about, specific areas in her district. Can you just talk the council and the room through, when you do identify a place, like you mentioned the Dorman Center and West Ozell, like several times in the report, how do you begin to address that so that we can start to see the decline? I mean, we talked about technology, but specifically outside of a big box store.
Again, once you determine you look for certain patterns or trends, and then you devise a strategy how to best curtail that. Because you have to have that information first. You have some things one-offs or outliers, or they may be cyclical. We had a situation, I'll stick to the big box, so I'm going to tell you about another thing where it was almost based on if we were having a big event somewhere, we knew there were certain things that were going to take place, so we increased our presence.
Okay.
Plain clothes and marked units.
Okay.
Because we knew that certain activities brought in a certain group of people who want to take advantage of the crowd, right? So, but again, once we're able to identify how something is going on, because before you can slay something, you have to kind of understand its habits and how they're doing it. And then you try to reinforce things either at the store itself, with better locking mechanisms, whether they have cameras there themselves, not just ours. We have some other technology around it where if we see a picture, for example, at a store, and this leaves, but we have this tag number, now we're able to track that tag until we can find out hopefully who's owning it. They may still have the stuff, but at least we know who they are. And then we can try to piece together our case there. But again, finding out is the people on foot, are they driving vehicles, those type of things. But you want to target harden the areas that are vulnerable. And that, like I said, that comes from everything to lighting. We'll do SEP test studies, for example, and that's crime prevention through environmental design. Sometimes if we see a place that's targeted, we say, okay, it may be we need to cut back your hedgerow. We need to have improved lighting. You need to have deadbolt locks as opposed to just your regular, small, say a name of a company, but a lock that's not as secure. So you target harden the location first, and then we try to put more eyes on it. So we'll do keep checks for certain businesses or whatnot from time to time if they've been targeted. And then we'll do some of the things that I talked about that I can't talk about because of sources and methods.
Chief, May.
May I ask one follow-up question? Just looking at the adult arrest, versus 2024, there's a definite trend that non-resident crimes are being committed by non-residents. So thinking about the technology or like the approach of how you target, you figure out what's going on. Again, Councilwoman Littlejohn mentioned they're outside of our city residents. How do you plan on addressing?
But that's where the partnership comes with our other law enforcement entities, the county and other municipalities. and the information sharing that we do.
Okay.
So that is extremely helpful, because I said that those who are committing these type crimes, they don't have jurisdictional lines. And if it's a situation where we know person A is doing something here, but we also contact the county and say, oh, well, they've done something here too, and we share that information, and we'll come up with joint strategies to deal with some of the actions, depending on what the type of incident it is. Okay?
Councilwoman Sally.
Thank you. Chief Thompson, I just wanted to say I don't have a question, just a compliment to the officers and the police department in general, because I have seen some improvements. It's, you know, it depends on the area. I know that there are hot spots in my area as well, and I know that they're working on them, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem, one last question.
Yes. Yes, one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hate to ask this because it's a doom and gloom, but it's something that eats at me almost every day. I just want to know if you all have any leads on the person who killed that baby in the bed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I could just tell you, please be patient and let us complete the investigation.
Are you still investigating it?
Oh, most definitely, ma'am.
Okay.
Not only do we investigate homicides that recently occurred, we have a cold case unit. That crimes that happened years ago that we're not letting go. Because, again, we know we cannot bring back we cannot do for the families what they want more than anything, which is to have their loved one back. But what we can do is continue to work those cases tirelessly and hopefully identify that perpetrator, make a solid case, because nothing would make me feel worse than for us to rush to judgment, take a case to court that's not solid, and lose it. There's a thing called double jeopardy. We won't be to go back again. So we're going to take our time and do it right. And like I said, please be patient on that, because it's still under investigation. And as I said, I really won't rest till we get that one resolved, because I know the pain this caused this community.
Okay, now,
Councilwoman Brown.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
now let me say this. I think that we have the best police department in the world, and I brag about y'all all the time. I brag about you, because please don't think that I'm coming at your heart when I ask questions.
Trust
okay?
me, I
Yes,
can understand.
ma'am.
Okay.
It's not a problem, ma'am. I understand, trust me, the desire for each one of you to be responsive to your constituents. I can understand the frustration when things don't get resolved as quickly as possible. Trust me, we share it too, because we know we're gonna have moments like tonight. But I don't mind it. Don't mind at all, because I know we're still working. We hear you, and we will adjust accordingly. But I do ask that you be patient. We have professional people who do this job as well as any that I've had the pleasure of working with, and I enjoy working with them. And we, like I said, we'll make some things happen. Just trust us on that.
Mr. Mayor, Chief, thank you for this report. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of the calls for service, 5 years of the homeless calls.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean exactly? Is it a call that you all receive that someone says someone's homeless, or was there a crime committed, or?
Well, again, that goes back to that page, let me find it here, that showed the different call types. Homeless, and I'll pull it up there too if I can.
It's page 7 for the,
And it'll show you the number of actual incidents that were reported. And you'll see that a lot of it was trespassing calls. It was like 99 of them.
okay.
I'll get to you in just a second.
Are those numbers reflective of the fact, again, that we're being more intentional about
Most
addressing?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we don't really know what the call, see what you're, because we're up 31%. What?
Right, as far as the number of homeless encounters, yes, sir.
I guess,
But again, to try to give some perspective, is why I had those pages inserted to show what the type of incidents. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What the type of incidents were, You have
Okay.
285 and the 213. Those are actual call types, or people, and it's broken down.
Okay.
Where you see disorder conduct, that was 9, or drunkenness, or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
So those were the types of things, but as I said, number one by a long shot in both of them, but it doubled in 2025. It went from 47 trespassing to 99. And one of the things that we did, because we do know, like for right now, well, even during the summer, but now we'll find homeless at some of at our business locations, in spaces and places behind them, and there are entrances where they can get out of the cold, more or less.
Sure.
And we have an officer assigned downtown to go at 6 o'clock in the morning to go and try to make sure that those business places are clear. But that doesn't even include those riding around during the night, trying to make sure the homeless are in and taken care of to the extent that we can, but there's still a number of people that are out. And they're gonna find places where they can pretty much escape the cold as best they can, and unfortunately, it's some of our business establishments. But if we get there and someone called, and then there've been people where they've called in years past, we have given a warning, say, please, we've been trespassed, whatever, but now that they don't heed that warning and come back, and we're effecting arrest.
I think I'm fine with seeing this type of data. The only thing that makes me a little bit uncomfortable is how it's separate, seems to be separate from those
The reason,
who
I'll be totally honest with you, I did that because
Have
of
their
so much
homes.
energy that we've had around homelessness.
Yeah.
And to me, I want, that shows, what it shows to me, like, for example, the assaults, which is number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Those assaults are amongst themselves. They're not, we had this belief, people say, oh, they're homeless, downtown, here come the homeless. The homeless are not assaulting other people. Now, they may come up and beg, they may make people feel uncomfortable, but they're not engaging in assaultive behavior. That's not saying we haven't had a couple of incidents where we've had homeless, a couple of incidents with an overwhelming majority. It's an outlier for homeless to engage in some type of activity like this against someone other than homeless. So to me, I asked that that be put in because I anticipated that, but with some of the energy around homeless, because as y'all know, I'm one of those folks. I remember somewhere I read it said you're hungry, you're clothed and naked, and you're welcome to foreigner in. And I think we need to remember that in a sense. It's great that we have the multi-million-dollar investment, and I know we may not want to see some of these people in spaces that they are, but they have to go somewhere. We're not investing in some kind of way for some space and place for them to be, especially in times like these when the weather's cold and whatever else. That's problematic, but I know we're better than that. So I do think that as we think about the business development, because we have become, our crime data, I'll just say this, we're not crime free, but our folks are working and we capture our data. And we do it, I think, the right way. And we deal with the real. But we're still, have become a resident of choice for folks moving here, for businesses moving here. And they're not gonna come, people are not gonna place their treasure where they feel unsafe. So, but we still got work to do. But let's acknowledge it that, like I said, this is a place where people want to come, individuals want to come, families want to come, businesses want to come, corporations want to come. And that's a testament to our city. But I will say, though, when it comes to the homeless piece, as I said before, these are our local folks. These are people being dropped off in here. We still have to attend to the least of these in some kind of measurable way, or we're going to continue to have this problem. So part of our investment has to be, we just have to find the location, because as you all know, NIMBY is alive and well. Nobody wants anything in their backyard. But we do have to have a place where we say, when my officers are asked to come and engage a homeless person, and we say, you can't be here, it's like, well, where do I go? Right. And right now, there's nowhere to go. Mr. Kent, I can tell you.
But that's the complexity of the I was gonna say, that's the complexity of the homelessness problem, right? Is you're trying to address multiple different issues, and oftentimes the police have been historically charged with being the tip of that spear. We're trying to be more holistic in our approach.
And the place to go home has been fantastic.
But this is still important data, because there are certain people, whether they're homeless or transient or not, that fall into this bucket at some point. And so being intentional about making sure that we take care of that, because in years past, we had so many property owners in our downtown say, I've had this happen at my property and nothing happens. Well, did you report it? No. So having them feel comfortable reporting this so that we can get this data allows us to address the criminal aspect of it, but then focusing on what we do with a place called Hope to try to find them a place to go, to try to help them get the resources they need, whether it's, physical or mental or whatever. That's where we take the holistic approach here, which may be different than some other communities, but it is important that we address this aspect of it as well.
Oh, no doubt. And again, this has always been a balance.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, yes, we want to help and get the person to the place where he or she need to be to get the assistance, but they also have to be mindful of respect for the property they may be trespassing on or things that they may be doing on those properties. Because I know if I'm a business owner, I got to come and each and every day clean up and water around my place. That could be annoying. We get that. And after we've given you a warning or two, and you've been trespassing, you come back, then we have to go another route. But the calling doesn't bother us because we're going to take appropriate action based on what we find. We're not going to arrest someone because we'll get these calls where people just don't like the way someone look. I just be totally honest with you. And I always give the analogy. I got two people sitting in Morgan Square, one on the bench wearing penny loafers, khakis, and a polo shirt. The other one's kind of tattered jeans and whatever else. They're both nodding. Which one? And then people say, well, this person here, that person not doing anything different than a public space, enjoying the, I ain't gonna say the good weather today. Well, all weather above ground is good weather, in my opinion. But anyway, they're not enjoying summertime or springtime. It would be unfair for me or my people. Well, first off, it's legal and we're not doing it. We're not going to arrest somebody for we're not going to make homelessness a crime. But by the same token, when they commit certain activities, we will. And the evidence suggests and shows that.
I just wanted to note what Councilman Former noted as relates to your question. We heard from you all several years ago about documentation. What you see today is a byproduct of that conversation. It not only helps from a policing standpoint, it helps a place to call home from a documentation standpoint and how we mitigate the issues around substance abuse and mental health. Without data, we can't drive resources to assist those individuals. So tracking every incident is paramount. And this team, the conversations that take place with police officers in a place to call home, where they're talking about people just by a simple description, the police officers know the individuals that we see experiencing homelessness by name. And that is an increase in the last couple of years. The intentional engagement by law enforcement in a place to call home is a byproduct of that. But also, there will be additional context that we'll come back with you in a few weeks with an update in what's happening with a place to call home from a strategy standpoint. So I just wanted you to note that that is coming.
And it does work. There was a gentleman, and I won't call his name, but when I first came to Spartanburg 12 years ago, they used to sleep at the steps of City Hall. One, because he knew it was safe, and there was a little break in the building that kept wind off, generally, from the direction he used to come. He has a home now. Right. A little place to call home. Right. But just like I said about us, investigations of criminal activity, but also dealing with folks who are having a tough time in life, for us to get them the help they need. It may take time, but we get there. And again, we knowing what levers to pull and who to call, because we're out here, we're 24/7, 365 days a year, 366 of a leap year. But normally we're not the ones that are going to actually solve the problem, but we know who to call to help solve the problem. And that's what's been so beautiful about here. We're doing a lot of things right. I don't think it's drawing a whole bunch of people in, but it's having us take care of the people who are here that are ours, our neighbors, who were born and raised and grew up here. And I think, and again, I commend the city and those community partners that are assisting us in that endeavor to deal with homelessness in a holistic way. But some of that does take time. But when I think about partners like Bridge and, like I said, some good stuff going on. And we should be proud of it.
Good. Thank you, Chief. And I think something you said just throughout the conversation that we're going to do it the right way.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to put the actuals up there, the real, keep it real, as they say.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to keep it real in Spartanburg.
Yes, sir.
Identify
Thank you,
what
Mr.
we
Mayor.
can. Thank you, man. Thank you to you and your team. We have item 8, the resolution certifying an abandoned building site pursuant to South Carolina Abandoned Building Revitalization Act Title 12, Chapter 67, Section 12-67-100 of South Carolina Code Laws 1976 amended regarding the property located at Mandela Lane, Spartanburg, bearing the tax map number 7-08-09-092.00 for the purpose of enabling application for credit against South Carolina state income taxes. Mr. Chris Story, a lot of information. Thank you, young people, for coming. Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the item before you allows a project to advance that is consistent with the goals and purposes that the city has for broadening our economic development strategies and encouraging the reuse and reinvestment in underutilized properties in the city. The South Carolina Abandoned Building Revitalization Act enables credits against future taxes when a building has sat dormant for a period of 5 years and is reactivated by different ownership. And in this case, 1 Mandela Lane is a long vacant commercial building just off North Church Street. It's it's generally on the north side of the community near the hospital campus. John Moore and his associates have a plan to renovate that structure and put it back into active use. That is positive for our tax base and for the tax base of the school district and others. And it is purely consistent with the purposes of the South Carolina Abandoned Building Act, and we would encourage your approval of the project to pursue those credits. There'll be subsequent discussion of the specific of the project as it moves through the development review process. This is an early stage sort of gatekeeping hurdle to make the project economically viable to justify additional investigation and design work and the like. Certainly welcome any questions that you would have.
Any questions of Mr. Story? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the resolution certifying the abandoned building as stated.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance number 9, ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute agreement for the lease and sale of property located at 362 Union Street, Spartanburg, South Carolina, bearing the map number 7-12-15-336.00. First reading, Mr. Martin Livingston, Community Development Director.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Staff is requesting approval of a lease and purchase of a property, a vacant lot, that's owned by the city. The lease and purchase agreement will be with the Lemonade Chick. I didn't make that up. Lemonade Chick LLC. It's a registered LLC with the Secretary of State. They're a small business, local minority-owned small business that have been developing out of their home. They make bakery goods and a variety of drinks. And they approached the city about using this property for parking purposes. They were making renovations to a property next door where they had 388 Union Street, where they have a purchase agreement with the property owner, and it's owner financed. And so staff is recommending approval of this lease purchase agreement. They'll lease the property for 5 years. That'll give staff enough time to determine if their PAL connection can be made in that area, as well as the viability of the business that they're expanding. So staff is requesting approval, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Mr. Livingston?
I just have one question. Did you say they're going to use the building for
Parking.
parking?
So the building itself is 388 Union Street. That's where they're going to be operating from, but the property behind them is the city property. And that's a vacant property which they'll be using for parking. There's not enough parking availability in the front of the property.
You don't have any pictures of it?
I do have something somewhere.
Where is it? 388.
There's in your packets, you should see part of the agreement. There's a page that shows the property location.
Did I miss it?
Yeah.
I would just, a couple of aspects of the property that make this a nice fit is that it's sort of a landlocked remnant parcel. Its highest and best use is related to it needs at some point to be connected to an adjacent property for it to make sense. It's otherwise unusable except for its neighboring properties.
This way.
It's closer to Henry Street, coming this way.
Closer to.
No.
Page 16 of the packet.
362, is it 362?
So 388, so what's that cross street right there? Is that Marion?
Yeah, it's across from the skate park.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so is that, so they're going in the old Clancy's?
yes.
No.
No?
You just aged yourself.
Well, that's
You
what
knew
I
what I
was
was talking about. I can still hear the beer clanking. All right, so skate park, so it's down right at the end, okay. Where's,
It's close to the glass place?
Across from the glass.
Cross
Cross Street.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I mean, do everybody feel comfortable where it is now we know?
I make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ron.
Oh, here it is.
Now, we, public hearing here, ordinance to amend the city of Spartanburg, South Carolina zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan land use element by amending section 206, change the district boundaries, specifically the property located at 1619 John B. White Senior Boulevard, from the current zoning R15, single-family residence, to B1 neighborhood shopping district, and providing for servability and an effective date. Ordinance is 2026 through 0-002. Ms. Fredolyn Frazier, Planning Director.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The matter before you tonight is an application for the rezoning of 1619 John B. White Senior Boulevard. And I'll just briefly go through some the findings, and the applicant is also here this evening as well. There you are, yes. So the owner and applicant, the owner is Ruth Hillman. The applicant is Brandon, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Brandon Kuglenow. And the request here is to rezone this property that is currently zoned as R15, which is general residential, to a more compatible use, which is B1, which would neighborhood shopping district. So with any rezoning, you know, we have several hurdles or steps that we have to go through. So the first is a public information session. And so that was held on January 6th. At that time at the Woodson Community Center, there were no public attendees at that meeting. We did not receive any inquiries either at the meeting because no one was there, but also there were no inquiries that came through the office at that time. It then moved on to the Planning Commission as required. And at the Planning Commission meeting, again, there were no public, anyone from the public there to speak in favor or opposition, and there was no other additional comments that came through the office as well. And so the Planning Commission unanimously approved the application to move forward, and that's why we're here now for first reading. Should you decide that you want this to move forward, it would then come back to you for a second reading on the 23rd of February. So that's the process that we're following right now. So a little bit about the property. It is just little over an acre, and as I mentioned, it is currently zoned R15 single family. We have a significant kind of mix of uses or zoning around this property. There's B1. You also see light office district there as well. And there's also, again, some more residential R15. And this property also abuts the county. And so there's the southern portion of this parcel is along the county, and there's predominantly residential there. And I'll go into some more figures here. But a little bit about B1 and what we're proposing here. It's generally for general shopping and convenience uses. And so that's where we feel as though this is perhaps the most compatible use to move forward with. And here's the reason why we see this as we did walk through our analysis. As you can see, this is a corridor that is in transition. It is moving from more residential to more commercial and retail. It's surrounded right now by B1, and I mentioned LOD as well, and also B3. And if you've driven down there recently, you'll see the different new businesses that have come in there and those that are prepared to move in there as well. So, you know, we have a car wash that has recently has been developed there, a Take 5 oil change. There's a Jersey Mike and a Five Guys. All of that is relatively new in terms of development along the corridor. And as you can see, this is a single residential piece that sits in the middle of all of that. And here it is, just an aerial to show you the transition of the uses as you move down the corridor. So what you see in the yellow is the proposed use. Right now, there is still a single family on the parcel, but of course, that will be removed. But adjacent, one lot over, to the east is the car wash that I mentioned, and then there's a proposed use on that vacant lot there that is an oil change, but it has not come before us. We have the application, but we have not conducted the site plan review for that one that's immediately to the right of this parcel. So when you think about rezoning and what some of the criteria that needs to occur here, we first look at the comprehensive plan, and the land use plan that we have for this area, which we call our growth and conservation map, clearly indicates that this area is where we want to see more dense and commercial use. And so the purple there is what we call center infill growth sector, and that is proposed for uses that are transitioning along corridors, highly trafficked areas, and this is what is in our comprehensive plan. The orange piece that you see there shows that that's intended or was intended for us to make that more intense use. So it does align with our growth and conservation plan. But there are other criteria that we also take into account when we talk about a rezoning, and there are the 5 that we have here. I just have that large check box there because it meets all of those criteria that we have here. Compatibility, I think we demonstrated that in terms of the surrounding uses to this property. The suitability, again, because of the uses that are there now. The marketability, of course, with the rezoning certainly enhances marketability, but we already have a proposal for the Dutch Brothers Coffee there. And then, of course, because there's sewer and water and everything else, the infrastructure is there to support it, and it is along a major corridor. So we feel as though it has met all 5 criteria, and that's one of the reasons also that the Planning Commission approved it unanimously. So this just gives you an idea of the site plan that they're proposing for the coffee shop, and just wanted to leave that with you. It's the area that's highlighted in yellow is the proposed Dutch Brothers Coffee. And with that, I'll take any questions that you may have, or if you have any for the applicant.
Any questions?
No questions, just a comment. I completely support this rezoning, and Miss Ruth, you're getting a great parcel from the sweetest lady. I'm sad to lose a constituent who has lived there for quite some time, and she has been so complimentary of the city, who has worked with her, as you have said, as her neighborhood has changed around her, but she's recognized that it is finally time to let go, as she said today. So take good care of that piece of land. And Stephen, she specifically has mentioned how you have been such a help to her in the past, and Martin as well, but he just walked out. So going to be sad to lose her, but wish her the best in her new endeavors.
Any questions? Go.
Mayor,
Yes.
Fred, so I assume that the enter-exit area is all going to be along John B. White. You mentioned, I think, that behind that was a residential
Yes,
along
so
Knollwood?
the ingress and egress will be off of John B. White. The other road that runs behind there, which I think is Knollwood, is actually a residential street.
The pictures you showed us in the package, that property, those homes or dwellings, those are in the county, correct?
Yes,
The
where you
ones that
see
are
the
in our-
gray, where you see the gray here
No,
is
well,
the county.
Right, but the pictures in the package of it's not on the slides, it's in the package. Those dwellings are in the county? Is that right? So does the same buffer requirements exist when they abut the county?
Well, typically what we do is we work with the county staff to make sure that whoever has the highest and best buffer is the one that's applied.
So that's the lowest common denominator, which likely would be the city's buffer requirement?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
No, we have to go into a public hearing.
I was going to make a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I just want to piggyback on what Councilwoman Smith said about Miss Davis. She is a beautiful person, and she's also my church member. We attend church together, along with Mitch.
All right, so we have to go into a public hearing, and the way the public hearing works is that we have 20 minutes per side. No one person can speak over 10. Of that 20, 4 are against this rezoning. So do I hear a recommendation to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. So we're in a public hearing. Anyone want to speak in favor of this recommendation? Anyone would like to speak against this recommendation?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Now we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve the rezoning.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Great job, staff. Staff updates. Mr. Story, it's been a long time since we've been here. Bunch of information you got.
Actually, not so much, Mr. Mayor. We have, I'll start just to highlight a couple things quickly. We, as everyone is aware, have had a couple weeks in a row of winter weather. And when that happens, our teams, and most notably our Public Works Department, but also police and fire have to operate differently. I just want to take a moment to express appreciation for the diligence of particularly our Public Works team in their aggressive efforts on that. That's a lot of overtime, back-to-back weekends, a lot of time away from family, back-to-back weekends, and a lot of special services and work and that type of thing. And they handled it, in my opinion, extraordinarily well. And I know there were a lot of other partners in the mix to get us through those winter weather events with minimal disruption, but really proud of the coordinated efforts of the team, doing things to have each other's backs in the sense of sharing meals so they can stay on shift, sharing equipment and things of that nature. Really good teamwork and a lot of efforts to prioritize the health and safety of the citizens. Also appreciative of the community for heeding the call to minimize unnecessary travel movements during the winter weather. That makes a huge difference, not just in folks avoiding accidents involving themselves, but by keeping traffic down, we can make it safer for the emergency responders and other things. The other side of that coin that I just wanted to mention is that when we take that amount of time out of regular services, there is a bit of a catch-up that has to occur, particularly as it relates to like our green waste and yard waste collection services. So you will be seeing us play catch-up on that front in the coming weeks, because we missed effectively a couple of weeks out of that rotation. So we ask folks' patience and cooperation with that. So that's my primary update tonight. Certainly welcome any questions that you all have about other folks. I also wanted to highlight the great cooperative efforts that are going on in downtown with the new traffic pattern changes going into effect and the construction sites getting more and more active, and the infusion of additional construction workers into our downtown. The cooperation level, not just with the city team and those contractors, but also with the downtown businesses and downtown residents, has been terrific, and we are grateful for it. Any questions, Mr. Mayor?
Any questions of Mr. Story? Great, sounds good. Let's move forward. Jamie's smiling. We have council updates now. Ms. Rogers, Councilwoman Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So going in order of the topics, Mr. Mayor, I just really want to echo your thoughts on civic engagement. Having youth in the room, having a room that is more full tonight versus some others, it's just really nice to see people here and listening and participating in the operations and the things that are important to our community. So thank you for being here, and I hope we all continue to engage the youth and different groups to come and take part. And then in terms of the police report, thank you so much. I really look forward to hearing on more continued collaboration with community partners, specifically data as well around the youth and our homeless community. It is encouraging to see that even though the mention of homeless is increasing, they are calls of service. They are not crimes. They are not less than 1% for overdose and drug-related incidents. Don't like to see numbers grow, but the fact that we're tracking it and working to understand it and address it is encouraging. And thank you to our community partners for sure. And then lastly, to echo Mr. Story, looking at our communications, looking at what our public works teams, our police, our fire departments around the storm, also our school districts. The fun and yet very clear message of stay home and also have some fun. I was really encouraged to see, a storm is a storm and it was very cold, but I know that our family truly enjoyed the moment, the several moments of white in the safety of our home. But I just would like to thank Public Works and our departments, as well as our communications team, to truly encourage us to experience snow in a safe and more jovial way. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Smith.
Yeah, not much for me tonight, Mr. Mayor. I had the opportunity to attend the Municipal Association with the mayor. And the chief was there, as well as the new sheriff. I had not had an opportunity to meet or interact with him yet, and was actually quite impressed. And with many of the ways that he answered questions and the kind of new foot forward, is that an expression? That he put. And so thank you, Chief, for being there. And he was asked some very pointed questions about way we've seen law enforcement in other states, especially coming from our federal government. And he was given an opportunity to pander, and he did not. And he said, we do things differently here. It's about protecting our community Folks who don't have documented status, we're not here to go after folks. We're here to make sure that everyone in our community feels safe, that they feel like they can come and report crimes to us. So it was a breath of fresh air, especially after what we've been seeing across our country right now. So I was thankful for that. And some of the different ways that he's talked about our department partnering with the Sheriff's Department was interesting, and looking forward to those coming to fruition. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
Councilwoman Brown.
Mr. Mayor, don't really have much either. I've kind of been at home, so it's nice to be out and about and starting to get my bearings again in the new year. But I do want to thank you all for all the support and the well wishes that you've given me. It was quite an experience to, you really kind of take for granted small things like bending over and tying your shoes and those sort of things. My mom came down and helped take care of me while I was in the hospital, and then, stayed for a couple weeks. I kind of shoved her out the door once I started to get my own bearings on things. I was like, okay, you can go now. So, but you really, no matter how independent you are, you don't ever realize, no matter how independent and how old you get, you never realize how much you need your mom. So it was good to have her here, and my wife that was here tonight, and my best friend who also everybody just kind of tag teamed, and that's why I love this place so much. I'm not born and raised in Spartanburg, but I have found my family that is here, who has always been there for me at any given time. You mentioned, came by and saw me at my worst, unshaved and unbathed, and so I'm just eager to get back into the swing of things. I probably will not be at the next Mayor's Walk because I can't quite, but I know I owe you this year, so thank you all for the well wishes. Glad to be back.
Awesome. Councilwoman Sally.
Thank you. Glad to have you back, Erica.
Thanks.
And I want to say, I think I see Mr. Norwood out there in the audience. So good to have you here with us. It's been a while. And to the chief and the deputy chief, I want to say, I want to compliment your officers. During the weather, the bad weather and the snowstorm, one of my residents called and needed assistance for her father. And Officer Wright was there, Johnny on the spot, to assist her with getting her father settled in a proper way. And I know that she's not the only one on the force that has helped other residents or people with concerns, but we do have a great police department, you guys, and I hope and pray that if you see an officer, say hello and thank them for their services, because they are very important to our city and for us, and they do take care of us. They may not be next to you like Jamie is to me, Councilman Fullman is next to me, but they're there, and I appreciate that. And thank you all for being here as well.
Thank you, Councilman Foreman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, just a couple items. Since our last meeting, a few of us had the opportunity to attend One Spartanburg's Outlook event, which was an incredibly informative event. But one thing that I'd like to highlight, Councilwoman Smith and I stayed to the very end, and at the end of the day, they had a panel of developers that were investing in Spartanburg that were from outside of Spartanburg. And in particular, the Barrett folks who are doing the wrap, they're from Indiana, and they're doing the wrap around the city-county complex. And to a T, those developers were singing Spartanburg's praises. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact of the good things that are happening here. But beyond the disruption that we're seeing in our downtown, progress was happening. We're creating something exciting and new, and that creates opportunities for everybody. But to a T, those developers sung our praises and said, Spartanburg gets it. We work in other communities across the country. They're difficult to deal with. Their permitting process is cumbersome. Their staffs are anti-progress and seem to be doing ways to, come up with ways to say no. And in Spartanburg, you're saying yes, you get it. And, we think about the investment the Johnsons have made and others in our community, and we're starting to attract new investment from outside of our community, and that's healthy, and I think that's exciting. And so I think we should not lose sight of that when we get into the weeds about, well, I couldn't find a parking place, or my car got dusty because I drove downtown. I mean, that's all progress, and we should celebrate that. The other thing I also had the opportunity to attend the Go Forth Recovery Celebration, which was an incredibly informative event, speaking to the conversations we were having around crime and drugs and things. And the work that they're doing along with others in our community is really nothing short of miraculous. And it was a great opportunity to learn more about that organization, but also the inspirational message of hope, grace, and recovery that they are helping people, individuals in our community, achieve every day. And so, that's exciting. And then lastly, today, the mayor and I had the opportunity to attend the Hub City Spartanburgers event, where they announced their third alternate identities. They've got the Sluggers that they introduced last year, the Regiment, I think, that was identified earlier this year, and then today they introduced the Pastime, which is incredibly exciting. Because it coincides with the 100th anniversary of Duncan Park Stadium, and it shows their continued commitment to not only the history of our community, but the history of baseball in our community, which is very rich and exciting. But it's also a way to tie the past, the present, and the future together. And so, I think that's incredibly notable and exciting. And then lastly, to the chief and everybody in our city team, Public Works, Police, Fire, the work that we did, nothing highlights the core essential functions of government like a storm, right? It requires everybody on the city team to fire on all cylinders, and I believe we did that here in Spartanburg. And I think as a council, at least since I've been on council, I've never heard one of my colleagues say that we weren't willing to invest in the critical resources that are needed to address any issue that we're facing in our community. And so, especially as it relates to those core essential functions. So as we hear the chief present on their statistics, and we see other statistics on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, we're going to make sure that we invest in those core essential functions in government so that we're delivering quality services to the people of our community, because they deserve that, and it's our responsibility to deliver it. So, thank you.
Oh, that was more than 2 minutes.
Sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That means you only got 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say, we have a great team. I love the team. And you, Christina, you must do 5 jobs. I mean, because she is on every time that you call, because she gets things done. But, okay, that doesn't mean that you're due for a raise. Okay. On Saturday, I attended End the Cycle of Violence down at C.C. Woodson, Gushin. Thank you, Chief, Gushin, Deputy Chief, for being there. It was a large group of people that were there, and it was a lot of youth. And I want to thank everyone that put that on, because it was a great event. And I think it was the city. Was it the city the one that put? No. Well, it was NACP. Whoever put it on, it was great. Okay, it was really great, the ones that put it on. And then I want to congratulate you on achieving your MEO, got from the state. Well, thank you. I mean, you're welcome. And then, I do this newsletter. You all know that I do this newsletter, but I get compliments all the time. But from this one, I got so many people to contact me because you wanted to bring people to help. Councilwoman Smith contacted me, and she wants to bring her youth in to help me. And then it was a student from Wolford that contacted me. He wants to help because he said he could get somebody to help. And then a lady that attend the Y with me, she contacted me and she said, that is such a great letter. I would do anything that you want me to do. So I'm grateful, but y'all don't want to come and help me because I get up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and work on that. Yeah, but thank you anyway for your help.
Can we get more pictures of me in there?
Thank you.
No, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Farmer just mentioned the 100-year of Duncan Park Baseball. We did have that opportunity to be there for that announcement with the Spartanburgers. Also, Councilman Farmer also mentioned creating opportunities, and that's what we're really trying to do here in Spartanburg with everything that goes on. We're trying to create opportunities for everyone. At least, that's my thought process. Young people, civic engagement. I do want to say thanks again to the police, to fire, public works, even for their little quirky videos during the storm about stay off the streets and all that. People see this stuff on social media all the time, and it actually works. I was not one that stayed off the streets. We did get out to see how bad it was, but no accident. And to that point, our son, Shay, and our son had a fender bender in the ice, and fire first on the scene, police there, everything worked out, and it is working out. But again, they're just out there for us, and I get that opportunity quite often when the Park and Rec team may feed Public Works, or fire may feed Public Works, or what have you. And that's what happened in the last storm, and I get a chance to go by and thank the guys for what they're doing, because when I'm at the Y over in the mornings, it's not a time that doesn't go by. Man, you guys did a great job with this storm. You did a great job with this storm, and I so proudly take credit and the pats on the back, but to the ones that are really doing the work out there, I always want to say thank you. Thank you for making this council looks good. Thank you for making the staff look good. Thank you for Spartanburg looking good as well. Miles with the Mayor is the third Saturday. We will huddle up at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church at 9 o'clock to have our walk through Highland, talk and share about some things that's going over in that area. And again, one more thing about civic engagement. I do so appreciate the Jack and Jill young people coming today to get their feel, but also Spartanburg High School just a couple days ago had a protest about what's going on here in America, and it was a peaceful protest, and they're showing their civic engagement, and it's nothing wrong with that by any stretch of the imagination. I know we had about 500-600, Chris, I did go back to verify, that actually went to the gym and had a peaceful protest in the gym for about 20 minutes, Dr. Rice. 20 minutes. They had flags and showcasing them on the gym floor, missing school time at that particular time. And once it was time to go back, the school still has to be orderly and in order. They went back to class. A few did leave campus, but those few will be dealt with. But again, they were showing their civic duty. And that's what it's all about. Each and every one of us should get involved in some form or fashion about something we see that we do not agree with. And we all may not disagree or agree with everything, but get involved. Get involved. All right, thank you all for being here. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, before I make a motion to go into executive session, you made me think of something when you mentioned the communication videos. I know the chief doesn't like to talk about specific criminal incidents, but I was just curious, did y'all ever arrest Punxsutawney Phil?
Very much so. Very much so.
We go into executive session.
All in favor? Any that opposed? Executive session.
Who is that? He said.
It's the police.